Hello, I'm CJ Wren, and today I'm going to show you how to make good sounding mockups even if you're using rhythm slash notation. This is useful if you're writing and arranging needs piano parts where you use lots of rhythm slash notation, but you don't want to sacrifice on your playback abilities. The two methods I'll show you in this video are writing comping in voicings and converting them to slash notation that stores those voicings inside of it, while the other method will entail using a separate hidden staff to make a more detailed mockup. Please leave a like, subscribe, click that bell to turn on notifications, and let's get started with the video. First things first, let's just quickly listen to this example score that we're going to be working with today. The first technique I'm going to demonstrate is just converting some of these notated voicings to a rhythm slash with a stem. To achieve this, the first step is just to make a selection of all of the voicings that you want to convert to a rhythm slash with a stem. Once you have that selected, we're going to right click and navigate down to voices. Within this context menu, you might be tempted to come down to where it says rhythm slashes, but if you do that and you select slashes with stems, you'll notice everything in that voice actually gets changed to a slash with a stem. And that's not what we're looking for, because maybe later on in our piano part, we also want to show normal note heads in a specific written part. I'll quickly undo that, and with whatever selection you need selected, right click again. We're still coming down to voices, but we're actually going to change the voice to a new slash upstem voice. Notice that only our selection changed and it preserved everything I had unselected. Now, the only catch to this is we're changing this to a different voice. So if we were to do this in a bar where we have something notated with note heads and then a rhythm slash, such as this bar with this D7 flat 9, if I change this selected portion here to a rhythm slash with a stem, changing our voice to that upstem slash voice 1 that we already created, you'll notice all these kind of ugly rests are created. But don't fear, this is not a problem in Dorico because we can just select all the rests we want to remove, navigate up to edit and click remove rests. So now watch when I select this slash here. We can actually hear the voicing that I originally played because it's now stored to that slash. This is awesome, but if I press play, we don't hear anything yet. So to enable this, there's kind of a little bit of a hidden setting, and it's not exactly where you would think it is. I didn't even know this myself, and I actually gave out false information to someone who was asking a question on one of my videos, but to be fair, I really didn't know this option even existed. So to find this setting, we have to go to the playback options, and that's not somewhere I've brought up so much in my videos. To access that, you either click Command-Shift-P on Mac or Control-Shift-P on Windows. Within this window, we're going to search for slash, and now you'll find rhythm slashes. Select that and you'll find the option we're looking for, which is play slash voices. The reason I've never actually found this option is because it's a subcategory of repeats. Now, I know rhythm slash regions are grouped as repeat structures, and it kind of makes sense, but to me, this rhythm slashes being under repeats, it just doesn't seem like where I would expect it to be, so I've never found it before. So to enable playback of your rhythm slashes, make sure this is checked, click apply and click close. Now if I click play, you'll hear those voices that we converted to these slashes playing back. So at this point, we've converted notes to rhythm slashes, but if you need to convert these back to notes, simply make the selection and follow the same process we followed to convert them to slashes in the first place. That's right click, navigate down to voices, go to change voice, and we're going to put it in the original upstem voice 1, which is normal note heads. So it's very simple to convert back and forth between having note heads or having slashes with stems, but if you are working with a MIDI controller, I also find it very convenient to insert the slash with your MIDI controller by just playing the voicings with that voice enabled in your note input caret. To achieve this, I'm going to recreate this measure here and make sure your little caret here actually has a slash with a stem. If it doesn't, you can switch between your voices with V, or if you need to create a slash voice, you click Shift Alt or Shift Option V. And once that is enabled, we can just play any voicing we want and it will automatically save that voicing to this slash with a stem. So just like that, if I played that back, you'll actually hear that voicing that I played on my MIDI controller automatically saved to those slashes. Those slashes act in the same way as the converted ones, and you can also convert those back to note heads following the same process as before. Now, there might be a circumstance where you want to insert a slash voice with a stem that doesn't have any playback, but if you have the playback enabled, how do you insert a playbackless slash with a stem? To do that while in note input mode, while we're inputting rhythm slashes, press Y to insert a note that doesn't have any pitch. You may notice while I was inserting that you did hear a pitch, but if I go back and play those, you won't hear anything, whereas my other slashes are playing back. The last piece of information I just want to recap, even though I've talked about it in other videos, is the fact that you can put a slash region over top of your voicings and they will still play back, but they'll be hidden under that slash region. For example, if I select these first two bars and I insert that slash region, they are now hidden, but if I click play, you can still hear them in playback. Quick note on slash regions, if you for some reason need to show the voices that are under there while also displaying the slashes, you have many options down in the properties panel at the bottom. For example, showing other voices and also changing the location of the slashes on your staff. Overall, the flexibility of being able to have slashes with stems that store voicings and the flexibility of slash regions enable your playback for your comping tracks to be pretty spectacular while also looking great. Now, this brings us to method 2, which isn't as involved because all it entails is creating another piano track and hiding it from our score. To achieve this, we're going to jump over to the Setup tab and we're going to add another piano player by simply coming down to the bottom leftmost button, which is Add Player. Just type in piano, click Add, and now we have two pianos. If you look at the names of them here, that's not ideal because we don't want to have a piano 1 and a piano 2. I typically just rename my piano for playback as Scratch Piano, but call it whatever you need to call it so it's recognizable to you. Also, you may need to rename your player that you actually show in the score because it might add a number to both of them, and even when you rename the scratch, it might not remove the number from the original part. Just rename it and get rid of the number and click OK. Let's go back to write mode and we need to hide the scratch piano from our score. Do this by right clicking in the first bar in one of the staves, come down to staff and manual staff visibility, and we'll get this window which allows us to show and hide staves on different system breaks. In our circumstance, we just need to do it in the first bar. You see there's this piano 2, A and B, which is the treble clef and bass clef of our secondary piano. Enable the property for it and click hide for both of them. Click OK, and you'll notice it is now hidden from our score. We can still access that scratch piano to write with as long as we're in Galley view. Within Galley view, you'll see all the staves, even the hidden ones. Galley view is very important in my workflow because I personally use this method of doing my mockups most of the time, and I believe running in Galley view is good because it's best to write your pieces in full in Dorico and then go to engrave. So I don't even bother looking at the pages until I'm done with my composition or arrangement. So now just a few quick considerations if you are working with a full separate playback track and having a notated version that doesn't need a playback at all. If you don't need this piano to be playing back because all the playback is happening down here, we can mute that piano within our mixer if it has a different output. We can also select the items within there and suppress their playback. We can also make sure that play/voices is disabled, then we don't have to worry about any slash voices with stems that are displayed in our piano part that we actually want to look at playing back those slash voices. And I believe the most effective way to do this is actually in the play tab. Select the piano that we don't want to be playing back and just don't assign it to a VST. So to quickly recap, we have two methods of working with chordal comping instruments like pianos. We can either work with the slash system that Dorico has that is very robust and very easy to work with, or we can simply create a second staff that is hidden from our score and put all our comping in there. Either way, you can achieve awesome results for your mockups in Dorico. Please leave a like, subscribe, and click that bell to turn on notifications. And finally, as this is my first video of 2025, I just want to say thank you for all the support last year getting my channel started, and Happy New Year, and here's to another year of videos. Thanks for watching.